Hi, this is Chris Nozako. I'm the CEO and founder of Media Black Book, and I'm going to go ahead and give you a quick tour of the system to get you up and running. First thing I want to point out is the quick search bar up at the top right-hand corner of the screen. For a lot of people who are just trying to look up reference data, they just need to look up quick facts, all that kind of stuff. This is really where you want to be. You can search for virtually anything in the system here, whether it be a company, a brand, an individual contact by name. It's all up in here. You can find ad agencies up here as well. I highly recommend you search for ad agencies by their domain. That's usually the easiest way to find an ad agency. But you can also find accounts by domain as well. So for example, if you type in vivint.com, it'll bring it up, the company. If you're looking for a brand or a company, I actually recommend that you go by the brand first. So for example, maybe you're trying to find information on, I don't know, maybe Sprite, right? It'll bring back a bunch of results. When you search for brands or company names, you'll also be able to look up very quickly their estimated annual advertising budgets. So in the case of a brand result, you'll see the brand is listed here. The brand budget is here. And underneath it, you'll find the company that owns it. So in this case, the Coca-Cola Company. And you'll find their estimated annual advertising budget underneath it. And there'll also be a little description about what the brand is. And of course, there could be multiple brands that are using the same name for different products and services. So, you may need to scroll around in these results to find what you're looking for. Depends on what it is you're trying to access. Once you find a result that you like, you can go ahead and click on it and we'll take you into their account. And then you can do whatever it is you need to in the account. So that being said, that is the quickest, easiest way to find just about anything in the system. And most people, especially just trying to do quick lookups, that is the absolute best, easiest way to do it. If you're trying to find a brand, I don't recommend you do that underneath the brand search. That's more about building lists. So that being said, let's go ahead and take a look at some of the other sections here. Media Black Book is broken up into 3 sections. So this is the search engine complex here. You'll notice that once you're under a tab, there are subsections underneath it. So we've got the company search engine. We've got the contact search engine. We've got the ad agency search engine, the brand search engine, and lists. So lists are literally what it sounds like. It is a way for you to locate the list that you have created in the system. So you can actually build lists for export in Media Black Book. And you'll see underneath list that there's another subsection here, submenu. So these are the company lists, although you could have a list of contacts, agency lists, brand lists. So it's all very well organized. If you come up under the monitoring section here, this is what Media Black Book is really known for, is the monitoring the activity data. So this is an entirely separate section. And for a lot of you business development people out there, this is probably where you're going to be living a lot of your time when you're in Media Black Book. So that being said, if you have any kind of monitoring group set up, you can go underneath the group section here and you can find your group and what companies are in that group that you're monitoring. If any of these monitoring groups have a hit, maybe there's some activity that the system has found, that will show up underneath the alerts. And we've got 2 different alert categories: pre-release, so these are products, service, all that kind of stuff that's not on the market yet will be under here. And anything that has just hit the market that we have information that is now available for sale, it'll be underneath this particular tab. Right now we don't have any activity showing up though. And last but not least, you have your account tab. So this one is pretty bare bones, simple. It's just all your account information. It's nothing too crazy. If you have a team account, all your team stuff will show up underneath the account section as well. So that being said, let me show you how some of these search engines work. There's some very potent and amazing things that you can do with this search engine. So first things that I want to point out is that these buttons up here allow you to basically manipulate the results that you bring back, and there's a couple of different things that they do, but in order for them to work, you have to have results selected. So let's go ahead and pull back a result set. So let's go ahead and search for footwear, just to use an example, shoes, and we'll say any of these keywords. So we got 21,000 results. So that being said, maybe we want to do something with this. So maybe we want to bring back information related. Well, first off, you can export this if you really wanted to. So let me show you that. You can go ahead and select the page or all the first 3,000. If you want to export something, you got to highlight it, and then you can click on the export button, and you'll be able to go ahead and export. If you would like to save this as a list that you can then add to later and edit and all that kind of stuff, you would just click the Save to List button and you can create a list, or you can update an existing list. If you would like to monitor them for monthly activity, you can go ahead and just click on the monitoring button and set up a monitoring group. Create a new one, or you could click on an existing one to update it. Now, these buttons will jump you into different search engines and take your selected accounts or your selected records and drop them into that search engine as a new search parameter. You're basically taking the results of one and stuffing it into another and searching those results is the best way to describe this, and is a very powerful tool. So we've got a bunch of companies selected. We could bring back all the company contacts for these companies, or we could bring back all of the ad agency contacts associated with these accounts, or we could bring back a list of just the agencies associated with these accounts, or all of the brands associated with these accounts, or you could say pull up an activity search, which will show up underneath the monitoring tab here, and it will show you all the accounts that have activity. So I'll just go ahead and give you a quick example. So we've got a bunch of footwear, so why don't we go ahead and select the first 3,000 actually. So if we hit monitor, it'll go ahead and jump us, oops, wrong button. If we hit the activity button, it'll jump us into a monitoring search. See how we're now over here. And you'll also see imported companies, 3,000. So those 3,000 companies you saw earlier are now in the search, and it looks like 519 of them have had some sort of pre-release activity in the last year. And if you want to refine this search, you absolutely can. You can go ahead and put in more parameters and all that good stuff. So that being said, I want to show you one good example of just how potent this particular design can be, this particular application, this workflow design can be. So let's say you're trying to put together a list of accounts that have a history of doing business with external video production agencies, or more specifically, you want to put together a list of directors of marketing at companies that do business with external video production agencies. That's a pretty specific list, and you can do that in Media Black Book very quickly. So the way that works is you would just start off by looking for agencies that specialize in film, and we've got 3,600 agencies that have film and video in their metadata. So why don't we go ahead and just select the first 3,000 of these. And now what we're going to do is we're going to pull back all of their known clients. So all the clients of all these agencies we just selected. So right there we now have 12,000 accounts that have at some point in time been a client of a video production agency. Now, if you want to take this to the next level, you can go ahead and select a bunch of these, or you could whittle it down if you really wanted to. I'll show you an example of that. Let's say the account has to have at least a minimum of $500,000 budget, right? $500,000 minimum. So that brings us down to 5,593 accounts. And now we can go ahead and select a bunch of them. We'll get the first 3,000. Now we could do another one of these leaps where we take our results and dump them into another search engine context, and we could say bring us back the contacts for just these accounts. And then once we get into this contact search, we can go ahead and then whittle it down into directors of marketing. And now you've got directors of marketing that are working at companies that have a history of doing business with external video production companies, and they have an annual estimated advertising budget of at least $500,000 per year or greater. I mean, you don't get any more specific than that, and it doesn't take that long to build that list inside Media Black Book, and you can save it as well. So it's a very powerful way of doing of building lists, quite frankly. You just got to understand that when you are highlighting these records and clicking one of these buttons, you are literally taking this result set and you are dumping it into these different search engines. So you're jumping from search engine to search engine. So that being said, that's essentially how you use the search engines. It's not that complicated once you start to get the hang of it. It's quite simple. As far as the accounts are concerned, every account's got quite a bit of information in it, depending on how much we know about the company. So, for example, I'll just open up Disney here. You're going to see an overview of their top brands. If you would like to isolate a list of all of their brands, you can just click on Launch Brand Portfolio Search. So this is literally the same technology that you just saw earlier. We're literally going to isolate a brand search to just this company. And you'll say imported, 833 brands. Those are all the brands that Disney owns. And now you can actually search the entire Disney brand portfolio. Pretty cool, huh? So that being said, we'll go back and show you some of the other cool things you can do here. We got basic information. This is like address, website, all that kind of stuff. Contacts. The way that this currently works is you are literally launching into either a contact search or an agency contact search, which reminds me, I want to point this out real quick. If you're searching for contacts, there are two modes. There is the company mode, and then there's the agency mode. Okay. You have to be in one or the other, and you want to toggle back and forth using these buttons. And the reason why this is designed this way is because they just have different metadata. So the agency is literally, we're literally talking about their client metadata, right? Whereas in the companies, it's the company metadata. So that being said, keep that in mind. There are two different modes for contact search. So let's see, contacts, agencies. If you want to look up information about the agencies that the advertiser is partnering with, you would just go under agencies, and you can even do a little quick search for a particular brand. Also have information about internal agency services as well. Media tab is what it sounds like. It's a breakdown of the different media types that we know they have been involved with in the past. This is historic, and this is across the entire history of the account. So, use this with a grain of salt in terms of the breakdowns. It's more like a long-term view of what people tend to prefer over time, I guess you could say, right? So if a company is like 30 years old and you see that they have a very big category of one particular media format, they probably really like that media format. So that being said, these are estimates, and it's designed to give you basically a good idea as to what their media mix looks like and what they're going to prioritize and what maybe they don't prioritize and all that kind of stuff. And last but not least is the activity search tab, or the activity tab. This is a real big one. This is where all the cool activity will show up in the system. If you'd like to zoom around in the timeline, you can just use this to isolate particular areas in the and the data sets will react down here below a little bit filtered. So that being said, that's essentially how you use Media Black Book. It's not that complicated. It's pretty simple, pretty easy to use, but it is very powerful. That being said, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. Just contact support, send a quick email, and we'll get you taken care of. But yeah, I hope you enjoy using Media Black Book, and happy hunting.